we are trained to lay down our lives mentally and physically. We've been trained, we've been programmed in a much better and a refined manner where I am, while in service, I was and I still am mentally and physically ready to go into battle, and I am ready to accept the consequences of my wife becoming a widow or my children becoming orphan. I mean, that is the kind of patriotism and that zeal and that, peppy enthusiasm and josh that we still have, and that's not going to go. It's like a positive virus that has been imbibed into us. That tomorrow, if they say, okay, you guys are veterans, but you need to go in there, I'm not going to think twice. I'm going to go in. So if they think they are Fedayins, we are even more worse than what they think we are. It's just that, we are controlled. We are working in a organization where we have to protect democracy. We got to protect civilization. We got to create an atmosphere of comfort for our citizens. We got to protect them from the bad element. And they say that in search of a hero, devils exist. But in terms of destroying the devil, you need a bigger devil. I mean, in today's scenario, it has come to that to teach a devil a lesson, you got to be a bigger devil.
Yeah.
We are not here to be heroes. We are here to tell them to lay off, because it's already too late for their mindset to change. So now it's time that we already give them a message that it's better to lay off, because you're going to meet a dead end anyways.
So could you take us through what happens when you actually go and begin work on the field? Like, I'm sure that the whole Indian Army is trained to kind of traverse through those situations, but I'm also sure that the Special Forces is sent possibly deeper into these terrains.
Well, you're right, and Vivek is absolutely right. So the diversity in the kind of terrain and the operating conditions that is offered in the Indian context is phenomenal. And there's a lot of and there's a reason why a lot of foreign armies continuously come and train with us, because the kind of exposure that our guys have had in different operating circumstances, and the terrain and the other situations is not really comparable. From Siachen, which Raghu has spoken extensively about, minus 45, minus 60 degrees centigrade, operating in those kind of environments, altitudes and temperatures, to the deserts of Rajasthan, to the jungles of the northeast, to Andamans and Lakshadweep, amphibious kind of operations. There is a huge variety, right? And once again, you're absolutely right. It's not just the special forces. It's the entire Indian Army that operates in all of these. So you pick up any unit of the Indian Army, an infantry unit, which is operating in Siachen this year. 2 years later, it could be in the jungles of the northeast. 2 years later, it could be in Rajasthan. So that kind of diversity is available across the Indian Army. But I think the key difference is how these forces are employed. So typically, the Indian Army, or all armies of the world, operates in masses, in numbers, right? So you have a defined structure, the organizational structure. There is a chain of command there. There is a logistic chain that is trained and organized and maneuvered to keep you sustained, right? That's typically how it works. In the special forces, how it operates, however, is that they operate in very small teams of 5-man, 6-man combinations, and multiples thereof, right? And that's how they operate. And typically, in a typical scenario, the special forces teams are supposed to be dropped behind the enemy lines. So it's not where the typically army to army contact takes place, or where the action actually takes place, but it's behind enemy lines, where you have no sustenance for you. You have no logistics backup. You have just what your set of 5 guys is carrying with them, period. You cannot be in communication because you are behind enemy lines. You're bound to be picked up and then triangulated, and your identity established and your location established. So you cannot do that. So you're cut off from communication, you're cut off from logistic sustenance, and that's where you need to ensure that every single member of that team is technically proficient, is able to convert efficiency, which they are over a period of time, to effectiveness on ground. That's why I mentioned that thing right up front. That the ability to convert efficiency to effectiveness is what actually defines special forces. So it's many of these things, that the ability to work under very stressful, very adverse conditions out in the field behind enemy lines, where you could be picked up at any point in time. That's the kind of thing that defines the special forces. And that's where camaraderie comes in as well, right? Because life and death, these 5 guys against the entire army, right? And you're in their land.
Yeah. Foreign militaries, the American military or the British military, are the weapons that they use significantly better than the Indian military? Because what I have understood about the Indian military is that we're jugadus even there, and like we kind of alter weapons to make them better. That's a very limited understanding, but that's what I have understood. Am I right in saying that the Indian military is a lot about engineering better weapons?
I don't know whether it is the correct answer to your question, but definitely I would like to make one statement. Weapon, equipment, communication profile, whatever it may be, but the biggest brand and the best brand in the entire world is Indian Army. I'm damn clear on this. We are the only force, history has been testimony, our soldiers are the only potent and the capable soldiers who can actually fight a battle and are just surviving on water, jaggery and muthi bhar chana. No other soldier is capable to do these wonders. Ours can. They've done it number of times.
Endurance,
mental or physical, the emotions they work with. No soldier, our soldiers are unparalleled. They are amazing. No requirement, nothing. In the name of the country, people don't even think about their families when it comes to actually duty. I had realized I had gone through one instance myself, Parakram, people were berserk. Tomorrow, bloody, we'll do this. Emotions, we are soldiers, I'm telling you, nobody knows their potential. Galwan, you must have seen a young boy, Khalsa, Bloody fell down from this thing, again came back, tied his turban, again taken by a number of people, and bloody had their happiness. And when the body was taken, the mother is carrying in the body of that soldier. Where do you get mothers like this? Weapon profile, I told you, it keep on changing. Men, it is always the men behind the machine. Our boys are the best. No doubt about it.
My wife has heard my death news twice.
Really?
Once when she was, I think, 8 months pregnant.
They declared you dead?
Yes, she saw on the TV my death news, and not declared me death. There was some misunderstanding. I have written a book which is coming out now, Kitne Ghazi Gaye. In that, this aspect, the emotional aspect which you talked about now that the topic has come up, is given out very, very in good detail. Like a soldier is doing his duty. They are just now saying the wife holds the family together. The wife, the father, the mother, the children, their sacrifice goes unnoticed. Like in my case, both the times, I've written in great detail about this in my book, but both the times I was not present when my children are born. Both the times I was not present when they joined their college. Both the times I was not present when they joined their professional college. Both the times I was not present when they did their 10th or did their 12th. And she managed all by herself. In addition, there is news of husband being dead. One news got clarified after 12 hours.
Why? But what was the logic?
See, first time it happened. Second time my wife was pregnant, about 8 months pregnant, when this news came. And she saw it on the TV that the first time this happened, Major so-and-so killed in Lolab. That is, I was posted in North Kashmir. Major, my name KJ Singh, of Rashtriya Rifles. And she, the whole night, she could not sleep. But she also felt, she was staying with her parents. Her parents were old. That tomorrow morning, they should not get the news first. She had to prepare them. And then when the newspaper came, newspaper had the same news. She hid the newspaper from her parents. Did not cry, did not show her emotions, and kept it to herself. And she was pregnant. Now this is the strength of the second time. I was a commanding officer. Again, 2 children. One was just about 2 years old, 3 years old, and one was about 8, 9 years old. She again got the news in the night. Again, Colonel KJ Singh in J&K killed. And she again, the whole night, she could not sleep. And here, something very important happened. Now, she is a commanding officer's wife. She did not want the other Jawans or the officers' wives to see tomorrow morning her in a shattered condition. She held herself together and showed as if it's okay. You can imagine the strength our families have.
Yeah.
That is how their sacrifice, their contribution in the soldier's life must be acknowledged, appreciated and honored. I think they are the most powerful women on this planet.
At the end of the war, when you know India's won, when you know that the mission is accomplished, and you've seen whatever you've seen, what goes on in your head?
I literally, it is what's my next task.
Wow.
And when the next task came to me even before I was on my way down.
I have one question, which is my final question of this podcast, which I will add to this Twitterverse section. In your entire experience of working in the Air Force, what's the most memorable experience you've ever had? You know, something that you feel will, you know, always stay with you, maybe even beyond this life.
Yeah, it's, if I may use the word, it is a little generic kind of a statement I might make. For me, love of life. Okay. Now, at the end of our lives, if somebody was to ask you this question, if you were to come back as a human being again in your next life, what would you want to be? Then I will say I would want to be a fighter pilot. In every guy, in whatever profession, if you're a doctor, surgeon, whatever you are, or a software engineer, if you can at the end of your life or your career say that in my next life I would want to relive the same life, that means you have actually lived this life. I think this is a message which I want to again convey, is that there are small memorable things which happen in our lives, in our personal lives, in professional lives. But the big picture is that at the end of my life, if I can say I want to relive this life, boy, you have lived your life and you have enjoyed every moment of that life. And that is, what each one must endeavor to. वही काम करो जो आपको you're really enjoying it. Yeah.